I'm a bit sort of bummed that it's the last round. Every year when you get to the final race, it's a bit, I don't know, lack of a better word, depressing. You know what I mean? You don't want to see the end. You know what I mean? It's come, and when, you know, I mean, I'm in a situation where I'm outside of the points where I want to be, but even times when I've been leading, I still think, oh, it's a bit of a downer that it's the last race. But you know what? We go away and we come back and we start all over again next year. So it's all fine. But more specifically to this round, I have you know, great memories of great races at Brands Hatch. It's always been a track I've looked forward to going to. I look forward to every race, but you know, you look forward a little bit more to Brands Hatch GP. It's got a better atmosphere, and certainly the track, the way that it, you know, the undulations of the track and how it's laid out is quite rewarding to ride. So I always look forward to just coming here to ride, regardless of if it was a race or a practice or whatever. It's just good to be here. And then this is my most successful track in stats on race results. So something about the place suits me, and I can normally get good results here. So, you know, I've got that to be excited by also. This isn't the first year that I've come to the last race sort of outside of that title fight sort of position. So I enjoy not having the pressure of being, you know, in the decider, you know, and I'd rather be under that pressure. You know, that would be a better scenario, to actually have something to lose. But coming in with nothing to lose is obviously less stressful, less pressure. It's easier to deal with and compute. So I guess the focus for us is just to do the best job we can and try and obviously get on the podium if we can. A win would be like unreal, you know, to finish off the year with a win would just make it. But yeah, even just to get on the podium would still be a good result. Like at Donington, we made the podium, but the weather was, you know, influenced that result as well. So I can't take the pride of the success as much as you can in dry conditions. The focus for us is just to try and finish out the year as strong as we can and represent as best as we can. And in some ways, we're trying to build momentum for next year. I'm in the same team on the same bike for next season, so we've got to maintain this sort of progression of development and improvements. So that's already starting now. You know, next year for me has already begun. I started out in the first practice quite badly. Unfortunately, there was an error made, and I entered the track with the harder of the two option wet tyres, which, for the conditions being cold and fully wet as they were in the first practice, would definitely not be the tyre of choice. So it was an unfortunate error that these things happen, and I crashed heavily in the first practice. So fortunately, no serious injuries. I feel like I just want a hot bath and lay in bed, watch TV, do something like that. But no, we've got some races to do. So I've got to just take a paracetamol and get over it. We went out in the FP2, which was not fully dry, but mostly dry, and had a pretty good run. The bike didn't feel amazing, like I wasn't extending myself to the level I would sometimes feel like I could around this track. But you know, we're in a good pace. I think 5th or 6th or something like that. So not terrible. And then in FP3, again, we had even more kind of tricky conditions, not really fully dry, but not really wet. Some people went out in intermediate tyres because of the conditions. The top riders were on full dry weather tyres and just had to sort of manage the wet patches, and actually ended up 3rd in the FP3 practice. So it was good to be, you know, obviously third and near the front, but it doesn't really reflect our true pace of what we could maybe do, because it was just managing track conditions. It wasn't testing the limits of the bike or, you know, improving the setup we had. It was literally just sort of, you know, weaving around trying to miss the wet patches and stay on the dry. And, you know, I did the third best job at missing wet patches. So, yeah, it doesn't really give us a good indication of where we're going to be in the race. I went out into qualifying, which, you know, you would know it poured rain just before we started. And I made about 4 or 5 corners and the bike cut out. Crank position sensor, it failed. You know, it's probably got about 400 Ks of kilometres of usage from new, because the engine was new at Donington. So when it's a new engine, these sensors are new with the engine. They should last the life of the engine and more. But like a lot of times this year, we've just had some misfortune, and a sensor, which they are quite expensive. People go, oh, you know, that 50p part cost us a race. They're actually quite expensive. They're proper, decent quality sensors, so they are a bit of money to buy. But if anyone knew that was going to fail, they would have put a new one on, of course. But anyway, I didn't get a lap in qualifying, so that means I start from 18th. So that's unfortunate. But the beauty of British Superbike Championship is the lap time you achieve, not the race position you achieve, but the lap time you achieve in each race determines where you start the next race from. So even though I've had a poor qualifying, I'll only start this next race from that 18th position, and my lap time from this race that I can achieve will hopefully be much better, and I can be in a much better qualifying position for the following race and improve as the weekend goes on. Fortunately, we've got sunshine today instead of the rain we've had the last few days. And then we had morning white this morning, which was really cold. The track was mostly dry, but really, really cold. So it was difficult to evaluate any changes we made on the bikes. I kind of went into today's lunchtime race with a couple of changes, a couple of tweaks to the bike, trying to improve it a little further, but not exactly sure if it was going to work out. So we did actually make, I think, a good change. The bike did seem a little bit better, but later in the race I sort of just lost a bit of tyre performance and sort of dropped back a little bit. At one point in the race I thought, oh, I'm going to be in a chance of maybe even a podium here, because after the safety car it all got bunched up again and there was another, say, bite at the cherry. But yeah, with about 5 laps to go I was really struggling. I'm still a little bit sore from the crash on Friday, and I was kind of riding a little bit tense. And you've got to ride hard but relaxed. It's always you've got to have this sort of finesse to be able to make the bike maintain a good lap time. And at the end of the race, I just felt like I was hanging on for, you know, far too tight and not riding, you know, smoothly enough. So lost quite a few tenths, and that sort of came because I was starting to lose the rear tyre quite often. There was a crash by Christian Yidden up there at turn 2 at Druids, they call it. And on the way over there I had a big slide and kind of a bit of a warning to sort of say, you know, you've seen what can happen. It's starting to happen to you. You know, either accept the warnings or you'll pay. So yeah, I unfortunately lost quite a few tenths per lap with maybe 5 or 6 to go, and then Lee Jackson passed me, and then just as I sort of thought, well, I'll you know, try and maintain this position, Haslam pushed past, and it's like a dog on a bone. As soon as anyone sees a weakness, it's just attack, which is great. That's why everyone loves British Superbikes. But when you're having a moment like I was, you wish you had a little bit more breathing space. So for the final race of the day, the final race of the year, you know, we made some just really fine adjustments just to see if we could just, you know, help me make a tenth or two, just to possibly improve those chances at the end of the race. And I feel like the bike was good in that final race. You know, let's say the first half of the race, I wasn't able to, let's say, push for a podium position, but you know, I was really hanging on to that lead group. You know, there was only, you know, a second or two from the front to where I was in the race. So I think that was an indication of our work, and I was actually getting quite you know, optimistic about, wow, I could really have a strong finishing race of the year. But again, the final laps of the race, I really struggled to maintain the pace. You know, I just lost a couple of tenths, and by that time, you know, the lead group had sort of like spread out, and I was sort of just trying my hardest to hold my position and yeah, and finish up. You know, we didn't crash. We're coming away, you know, without any injuries, and you know, it's not the best results that I could hope for, but you know, not everybody can win. You know, we're all out there fighting for every position and pushing hard, and you know, someone's got to finish 5th, someone's got to finish 7th, someone's got to be 10th, someone's got to be last. You know, there's loads of people out there that are probably more peed off than I am about today, but yeah, you know, we'll be there to fight another day. So we'll come back next year. We'll come back stronger, faster, fitter, whatever it takes, and put the challenge back again.